once you bring good nutrition into your life for yourself and your baby, you feel better. Healthy toddler, happy tummy, happy toddler.
Hey friends, welcome to Keep It Simple Sexy. I'm Kristy Bullock, founder of KO Body Care, certified fitness trainer and mom of 2 little girls who's just trying to juggle it all and feel as good as possible. I'm so grateful that you're here. Now let's get started, sexy. Hello everyone, how you doing today? Welcome back to Keep It Simple Sexy. I'm your host, Kristy Bullock. Well, when my firstborn Remington was born, we had to start her on formula immediately since she was adopted. And more I hear women starting formula early because they're having issues producing or babies having trouble latching. There's so many reasons why. And I think I'm actually hearing more about it, even though it might have happened before too, because women are now more open about the discussions on all options available for early nutrition for their babies. And thank you, first of all, to the mamas out there for sharing their stories and normalizing all baby-fed methods. Now, when we do choose a formula as our option, actually selecting the right formula for your baby can feel like one of those weight of the world decisions as a new parent. You want the most nutritious option for your little one's body and brain, but you also don't want to upset their still forming tummy. Today, I'm here with Pediatrician Dr. Tanya Altmann and Kristy Carr, founder of Bubs Baby Formula, a 17-year-old clean infant and toddler nutrition company that just launched in the US from Australia, who are dedicated to setting your kiddos up with a lifetime of good eating habits by giving them the best start possible. Dr. Tanya Altmann is a working mom of 3 and UCLA-trained pediatrician. She's the founder of Calabasas Pediatrics, which takes an integrative approach to treating today's modern family. She's a best-selling author of several books, including What to Feed Your Baby, that's a must-have, and a go-to expert for national print and TV media outlets. And I absolutely love her social media page as well, so you got to tune into that. Kristy Carr is the Chief Executive Officer of Bubs Australia. In the fall of 2021, Kristy and her team launched in the US under the label Aussie Bubs with 2 clean label toddler formulas. Kristy has a proven track record of leading and building successful brands and businesses spanning Australia and the Asia Pacific. Over the past 25 years, she's lived and worked in Hong Kong for over a decade and traveled extensively throughout Asia for both business and leisure, which gets me to the point that this experience is what inspired Kristy to start Bubs while on maternity leave with her first of 3 daughters in 2005. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hi, Christine.
Hi, Christine.
Thank you so much for having us. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you for tuning in. And we're tuning in from all sorts, like literally 2 different sides of the world.
That's right. I have just recently been to the US. Actually, I was fortunate enough once the borders opened to get there twice this year, but now back in Melbourne, Australia.
So nice. And congratulations on launching in the US. We're so excited to have you here. That's a pretty amazing 17 years, that you guys have been in business with this. So I'm excited to just dive right into it. Our viewer knows I want to break down the information first. And since nutrition is the most vital for our babies, especially in those first 1,000 days, what type of nutrition should we be looking for that's truly important for our babies within those first days?
Yeah, the 1,000 days is something that we really talk about a lot internally amongst ourselves with our sort of team of experts, including Dr. Tanya around us, because the nutrition that you're able to give your child during those first 1,000 days of life really just sets them up for the rest of their life. It's a very important foundation.
No pressure.
Yeah, exactly. like all things to new motherhood. But, the 1,000 days actually starts when, during from conception during pregnancy. And you can really look at it in 3 different phases: the pregnancy and then newborn, quite often where breast milk or infant formula is your sole source of nutrition for your child. And then toddler really goes right up to that second year, second birthday. And during that period, your brain develops more rapidly at a faster pace than any other time in your life. So it's really important that we're able to provide both mum and bub the right nutrients, vitamins, minerals, right level of protein, and the right levels of particularly omega-3 fatty acids for brain development during that time. Because you have, your child is developing not just their brain, but also their growth in their body and all of their different systems, their digestive system, their immune system, all very sensitive and immature. So I think it's also about what we put into our bodies and feed our children, but also that we protect them from the various toxins and contaminants that are so readily available in our environment and in the foods that we eat today. So it's a very important period, I think, to focus on our nutrition more than we have as adults pre-pregnancy.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, I agree with everything Kristy said, and isn't her accent amazing? I love listening
so cute.
to her.
Yeah.
Yes. So, how I first connected with Bubs Australia, which is now going to be called Aussie Bubs during the US launch, is through the Clean Label Project. I have always been all about nutrition while moms are pregnant, as Kristy mentioned, and infant nutrition. And of course, in my practice, we support breastfeeding. I have lactation consultants in-house, and we really work with all moms on that. But as we mentioned, there are times where either moms are unable to provide breast milk or they choose not to. And that's when it really comes time to find that best formula option for the baby. And sometimes it's not clear cut, every baby is different. But what I was seeing over the last 5 years of my practice is that more and more of my moms were looking to international brands. They were importing formula from Australia, from Europe. And I was wondering why. And so that's when I sort of started looking into it and really delving into how is formula made in other countries, different from here in the United States. What certifications do they have that it might be different? How are their products tested? And I realized that there are a lot of very healthy, nutritious, clean options in other countries that it would be great to have available here in our country. And so that's when I started working with Aussie Bubs, and I'm so happy that they are now launching in the United States, because I think this is what US babies need.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, wasn't really what I was going to go to next, but if we could dive into, because when Remi was born, adopted, I mean, even 5 years ago now, there wasn't that many options on the market for her. And so I had to go to Europe. I think it was like organic. It was like more nutrient dense. What I ended up having to get in. It was so hard getting it. And then they would go out of stock at that point. There was like so many things. But the same thing with my girlfriends here, purchasing from there. Why are we still seeing the same kind of regulation differences in the US to Europe and Australia? And why, maybe even at that time, were they so different? I don't even remember. You don't remember anything new for the next time around.
So we have something called the Infant Formula Act in the United States, and it was developed for a very important reason, right? To make sure that everything sold for infant nutrition had a certain level of standards, which are very important. So I think it is good that we have FDA regulations on infant formula, but I also think times have changed, and they are updating some of the FDA recommendations and requirements in the United States. And every country does have their own that can be slightly different. One of the things that, really connected me with Aussie Bubs was sort of their dedication to having the cleanest product available. So, for example, their cows are 365 days grass-fed, and we know that grass-fed cows tend to have milk with a higher level of omega-3 fatty acids and CLA, which is important for bone development. So that can be very important for a baby's brain and bones. They also don't have a lot of other additives that you might see in products in the United States. Kristy can talk more about that and why she chose the ingredients when she made it. We don't use high fructose corn syrup. They don't have any added sugars, or other things that we really don't want the babies to have. They use canola oil instead of palm oil. So I do think there's a lot of really important research and nutrition behind a lot of the decisions that Kristy made. But Kristy, why don't you talk a little more about it?
And
to
break into really quick, we have a lot of skincare on here too. We talk beauty and all that and parenting, but it is the same thing that we hear from the experts all the time, that yes, there are regulations in the United States, but it is about the consumer really taking the next step to where it needs to be and pushing almost like our government or, those agencies to really take a step up and find that even cleaner ingredient. Thank you, Kristy. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we export our Bubs products all over the world, throughout Asia and Middle East and now North America. And every country has their own intricacies and tough regulations. It's it's a very stringent and challenge process from a business perspective, from an export perspective. But, I think it's something that we really respect, and being able to adhere to all those different regulatory guidelines actually makes our end product, very, very advanced and having to sort of adhere to all different, whether it's all organic standards, whether it's the food health and safety standards, or in North America case, meeting the FDA requirements. But it is interesting as you go around to the different countries, I guess how updated the standards are with the changing times. And I think, as Dr. Tanya said, there's just ingredients in infant formula that I think have progressed and advanced. Maltodextrin and corn syrup. We know how to make infant formula without these ingredients in them anymore. So clean label and clean pure ingredients is something that's really been in our DNA since we first launched, back when my eldest baby was born 17 years ago. And I think it's only now that we're really able to get that kind of level of understanding and being able to articulate what and why clean ingredients are so important. And we're really the pioneers of that in as a brand in Australia, but we're actually looking to American independent business that's been set up around the Clean Purity Award and Clean Label Award, which is just a fantastic entity that we're now using in our communication across the globe.
And what exactly is that? What is the Clean Purity Award?
Yeah, so it's not just about the ingredients that you source, but that you're able to test for different contaminants. So the Clean Label Purity Award actually looks at products and the contaminants within those products. So they'll take our product annually, but also randomly off the shelves and test them for 400 different contaminants and toxins, plasticizers, heavy metals, and in able to retain that award, you have to have a product that is free from all these contaminants. And it's quite amazing how many of those sort of toxins and heavy metals can even filter through to your breast milk, but also into the foods that we eat and the infant formulas that we also feed our children.
That's amazing. I mean, that makes, as a consumer mommy, me feel like so comfortable with that. Like 100%. I wish I had this on all of everything that I'm consuming as well. And
we are starting to see the Clean Label Award across different aisles of the supermarket. It's not just an infant nutrition. We sort of specialize with them around that first 1,000 days in infant nutrition products, but it we can't always do all the work ourselves as mums and grocery shoppers. We need
we don't have
an independent badge that we trust, and that's what the Clean Label Purity Award is. That they've done all the work for you. I can I can safely assure you that they're very thorough in their job.
That's good,
Yeah,
which
and
makes you guys
that,
do the work too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I find that the moms in my practice, that really reassures them too, because that way they know, as you said, that there are clean ingredients and that these products are regularly tested to make sure there are no contaminants and toxins. And there's a list of like over 400 items, that are tested for on a regular basis. So I think it's a one extra, just lets you know, like, hey, okay, this product is legit and real.
The Keep It Simple Sexy podcast is brought to you by KO Body Care. By now, you guys know I'm all about simple wellness habits. And the most important habit, in my opinion, is eating lots of fruits and veggies to boost your immunity and feel energized and youthful. The only problem, if you're as busy as I am, you're probably eating a lot of meals on the run. So I'm going to fill you in on my favorite hack. KO Body Care's clean, plant-based supplements. As the founder and CEO of KO Body Care, we spent so long getting these formulas perfect, and our customers are just as obsessed with them as I am. Our bestseller right now is our Vital Green Superfood Powder Drink Mix. Every scoop contains 25 superfoods that optimize your cellular health and performance. There's organic greens, antioxidant-rich berries, curcumin and immune complex, and so much more. Unlike most green powders, this one doesn't taste like grass, guys. It's got a sweet berry flavor that even my kids love. Seriously, my oldest asks for it every day. Vital Green Superfood Powder is a staple in my pantry and in the KO collection, and when you try it, you'll know why. Order yours today at kobodycare.com and make sure to use your special code KISS20 for 20% off your first purchase. When we're talking about clean too, we've had this conversation in our skincare with our skincare owners a lot as well. What is the difference for you guys in the sense of clean versus organic? And is organic fully necessary within the formula? Is it the same standards, like 75% and above is considered an organic product? I'm not sure what the standards are with baby formulas.
Yeah, so organic is something else that's been in our DNA. We were the first organic baby food. I can see in the background there, Dr. Tanya, you've got some of our organic baby food products there, which are going through the process of and will hopefully be in the USA very soon. But from a milk source as well, I think it's another very big tick and in terms of quality of milk source, but it does really come back to the farming practices with organic. So what we look for in our farming processes is that they're not only don't have pesticides across. If you're doing fruit and vegetables, for example, there's no pesticides across the farming process. But when we're looking at dairy or animals, it's that they're not fed food that has had pesticides and treatment. So that's the first thing to look at. There's a very long list of different preservatives and so forth that are not natural, that can't be included in organic products. Excuse me. In Australia, which our products are by the Australian Certified Organic. We also have a NASA organic certification, and we're in the process of going through the USDA certification. But they all sit at 95% organic in your total product. There are some ingredients, including ingredients in infant formula, that you just can't source globally around the world that are certified organic. So that just gives you some breathing space. But I think that is a very high percentage of organic ingredients. And the other thing to think about organic when you're talking about dairy is the hormones and the antibiotics that are fed to livestock to make them produce more milk or make them grow bigger and faster, and they sort of speed up that farming process. Whereas in organic and regenerative farming, it's just a much more natural process. I think the other element when you're thinking about milk source, particularly in cow dairy, and there's so many sort of specialty milk sources available now across infant formula that you can really select one that is right for your baby. But our cow-based milk formula, we also have a goat milk-based formula, and toddler milk, which is very suitable for children with digestive issues or a little bit more sensitivity in the gut. But with our cow milk-based formulas, it's a 365-day pasture-fed cows. So that's also very important. We source our cow milk from New Zealand, which has a perfect climate for dairy, very lush, high rain. Some countries around the world that are colder have to supplement their cows with other feeds during the cold months, but New Zealand enables us to do every day of the year, just roaming on their natural pastures and eating grass off the land, and that's their only food. So a very natural source. And as we start to test the milk, we can see that grass-fed milk is very high in the omegas and also in the CLA. So it's a very high quality milk source.
I can imagine, and just like hearing this, one of my next questions was the difference in the cow, just the cow formulas alone. We'll get into some of the other types of formulas, but I'm guessing that obviously some of the major things are the grass-fed, the non-hormones, and that is automatically going to lead to just so much more nutrients, and also not the toxicity on the other side of it and the excess hormones. Are there any other things that we should be looking for in just purely grass-fed or cow-based formulas alone that sets formulas apart?
Dr. Tanya, did you want to?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that, as Kristy mentioned, the technology has improved so much over the years. We now have so much more knowledge of what babies' brains need for growth and development. They need higher levels of DHA, that they need pre and probiotics, that we don't want them to have all of these extra things in the formula that they don't need, and that now we can make infant formulas without those. And that's why, guidance has needed to change over the years. Going back to the goat versus cow, really interestingly, I think many of us in the United States, because we're so cow-based here, we don't realize that worldwide, goat milk is actually far more popular than cow milk. And most of my families that come from Europe and other parts of the country, Australia, they were actually raised on goat milk, and they want to give their kids goat milk. So I think, there is a lot of information on the differences between goat and cow. And we're also learning more now that more families in the United States, are choosing goat. One of the differences, that I see is that goat milk has more A2 protein. You might have seen like a lot of the cow milk now is advertising, hey, our A2 cow milk. So it's the different proteins in cow and goat milk, but the A2 is the one that's easier to digest, and it's more naturally occurring in goat, which is why many families report that their babies that have digestive issues or are fussy tend to do better on the goat milk. Now, that said, if you have a true dairy allergy, it's going to be to both. Milk protein and cow protein are going to both have that same allergy. So if it's a true allergy, it doesn't work the same way. And you always need to talk to your pediatrician about that when you're choosing formulas or when you're switching formulas.
Yeah, Remi went through that too. At about 3 months, she just started throwing up everything. We realized it was the formula too. And I don't know. I think I didn't try goat right away because it was just like, okay, let's pull it. But the only option back then was soy. It was the only option on the market. And then we went back. I gave it a little time, and we went back to goat milk to try as well. And she could handle that. I kind of like mixed it a little bit with it. So that's amazing. And so basically it's kind of a lactose reaction, right? Would that be the proteins, just for more common knowledge of like the words, that we're using in that? Is that the actual protein? We hear like lactose free in goat milk, or lower lactose. Is that the protein?
That's another component of goat's milk. Yes, that it has naturally lower lactose levels than cow milk does. So often that also makes it easier to digest.
Okay, so it is both as well.
Yeah, I mean, so many parents that we talk to, just the gut-related issues in those early years of transitioning from breast milk, or whenever they enter the sort of formula cycle, and and continuing on to the next stage of when they move from formula to fresh milk, for example, more around sort of the 1-year-old mark, that's where we start to see a lot of digestive issues, and it's a very grey area. So like Dr. Tanya said, if you're really lactose allergic or have an allergy or a very severe intolerance, then goat milk is unlikely to be the right solution for your child. But if you're there's so many other gut related issues, and I brought 2 children up on 2 of my 3 up on goat milk, and I just saw the change when I was able to go through that, because it's just a much easier process to digest through their little immature bodies. And neither of them had allergies as such, but they definitely had wind and a lot of gas issues. You could always see their tummy was really hard and their knees were coming up to their chest, and even I speak to a lot of parents who've had a lot of success on a goat toddler milk with congestion, with a lot of congestion in earaches, with skin conditions, eczema, or even just, dry skin and rashes. Just because of the protein structure, and the sort of the globules in that structure are much smoother and smaller than a cow milk protein. And so therefore they break down in their little bodies quicker and more easily.
And, 2 things, and that's amazing too. And, even with little bits, our bodies really have to learn these things. I think, fully pulling things out sometimes is not the best option, because when a child is grown and then they try these things, they're going to have that much more issue. It's kind of like, I hear doctors saying, and I could be wrong, more and more, that they're giving these pre-allergens, like the peanuts and stuff, and little doses a little earlier, but it's the same thing. It's like prepping the body for that kind of stuff. My mom was super clean, and we didn't have much in our kitchen. And so for my kids, I've always made sure that they have a little bit of everything, just, in order for them and their digestive systems and their bodies to try that. But second, I imagine too, a lot of the stuff with the cow milk formula is it not being the best prepared cow milk possible. The proteins, I'm sure, are a bit different depending on how the cows are going to be taken care of too, and also harder to digest. And it just kind of creates an entire flux about what you're getting within your product as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The sourcing of ingredients is really important. And I think that's over the sort of journey, or Bubs journey, we've, one of our priorities has been to take absolute control of that entire supply chain from farm to formula, essentially. And so we're now what we refer to as a vertically integrated company, meaning, on the goat milk front, we actually are Australia's largest producer of goat milk. So we have the largest goat herd and milk pool in this part of the world. And then on our organic grass-fed milk pool, we have very close connections with all of our farmers in New Zealand. And so we're able to really trace back the sourcing of our ingredients all the way to the farm, and see how the animals are treated, see what they're being fed, and see, have that relationship with our farmers, which is just as important to me anyway as having the independent certification and stamp and paperwork that follows that supply chain. And then we have our own facility, which we acquired once we became a public company, and we're able to raise significant capital many years ago now. And being able to own that facility gives you the confidence in the sort of quality and insurance, and we can surround ourselves with experts like Dr. Tanya in the pediatric and nutritional sector, but also in the quality and the insurance, which is not just about the manufacturing in the facility, but all the way through that supply chain. So it's a very long and comprehensive system. But I think that brands that remove themselves from that supply chain, are really, there's no transparency in what's actually going into the final product.
The first 1,000 days of life are crucial to healthy brain and gut development, but toddlers can be picky eaters. And as a parent of 2 and 1 on the way, I'm always wondering if my kids are getting enough nutrients. Aussie Bubs toddler formulas are trusted, clean, nutrient-dense, high-quality products with no added sugars, GMOs, or growth hormones. The team sources all of their goat milk from Australia and 365-day grass-fed cow milk from New Zealand. All of their products are then manufactured in their own facility in Australia. Aussie Bubs formulas are also Clean Label Project certified, which means they've been independently tested for 400 plus contaminants. Mix up an Aussie Bubs for a healthy on-the-go drink, or you can add the formula powder to smoothies, pancakes, and muffin mixes. Make sure your little one is getting all of the vitamins and minerals they need each day with Aussie Bubs. Head to www.aussiebubs.com today, and the link is in our feed. For right now in the US, we have the toddler version of it, and hopefully soon we'll be having the infant as well. What are the main differences in the infant versus what a toddler needs, just to know what our nutrients our toddlers need as our little babies are getting a little older?
Yeah. So when it comes to infants, the formula you're feeding your baby is really their sole source of nutrition. I mean, they may also be getting some breast milk, but initially in the first 4 to 6 months, they're not eating solid food. So that's why it's so important that the formula is made specifically for infants. Once you get up to the 6 to 9 month age range and babies are also eating some solids, then formula composition can be much more similar to toddler formulas. And in many countries, they actually stage the formulas. In the United States, we pretty much do like the first year of life and then the toddler formula. But they're between 6 months and age 1 to 2, it can be very similar in composition, and that's what we're seeing with a lot of other companies. But the formula that's available right now from Aussie Bubs in the US is their toddler formula. And so, toddler formula it's interesting. I mean, 10 years ago, it wasn't something that we saw a lot of in the United States. And the companies that made toddler formula, they had a lot of added sugars and flavors, and it was more like like a flavored shake as opposed to like a nutritional beverage. Then what happened in our country is that everybody started making smoothies and shakes, and parents were drinking protein smoothies and shakes and nutritional beverages too. And they kept saying, hey, can I give my toddler what I'm making for myself? And that's when pediatricians really started looking into it and realizing like, okay, if we're going to be giving supplemental beverages to toddlers, it really should be something that's designed specifically with what toddlers need. That said, I also have a lot of patients in my practice who, maybe they're a little picky. They're not getting all the nutrition they need. They might have specific food allergies. And we are looking for that specific toddler formula or child nutrition supplement that they can have once or twice a day. The other thing I hear from parents is, my kid's really picky. And I find that a lot of parents, it just reassures them to just give their child 1 cup of a nutritional beverage or toddler formula or milk once a day. And that way, when the family isn't stressed about what the child's going to eat the rest of the day, they all tend to eat healthier and just enjoy their meals more.
I was just thinking that right before you hit that last comment is the fact of just the dietary struggles that, so many different parents and children have. My Remi, again, she's actually such a good eater. Her favorite foods were mushrooms, olives, like weird foods, that kids don't normally like. She asked for sardine weekends. I mean, such a silly little kid. But she's suddenly at 5 years old going through this thing now, like, I don't like mushrooms. Nope, not today. And then had it yesterday and was like, these are good mushrooms. I'm like, you didn't like them the day before, child. But it is like, and it makes you feel so much more comfortable when you at least have that good breakfast or whenever they're getting that where they have their basics. If they
There's a lot of toddler phases in there.
Yeah. And it does kind of calm the entire family. Well, that's wonderful. Can I ask you, who formulates your products with you?
So we have a amazing team of experts around us, and we've just started working in the last year with Dr. Tanya for the Aussie Bubs based formulations with another very well-known and well-respected technical expert in the infant formula industry in the USA to really sort of understand not just the FDA requirements, but also there's different consumer preferences and nutritional needs around the world. And then here internally within the Bubs team, we also have our whole range of infant nutrition experts, and they're not just necessarily experts that we look to in developing the infant formula products, but also really just understanding breast milk and the science behind breast milk, which is really sort of the gold standard, and what as infant formula companies we're all trying to replicate. So and within that we have a technical team and a quality team and a regulatory team as well. So a lot of people surround us with talent in a lot of different areas. But it's quite a science.
That's amazing.
Yes. I would say it's much more complicated than I ever would have thought. It's been so interesting working with all of these experts. And I think, it's really important to point out is that this is why pediatricians do not recommend making your own infant formula at home, right? Because there's so much you could miss out on that the babies really need for their growth and development. So I think it's really important that we have all of this science and technology, and why not use it? And if babies aren't drinking breast milk, give them this really high quality, important product that they do need that will help them succeed. And as you can see, we have 17 years of Bubs babies in Australia, right, that have been growing really well on this formula.
And I love, and like you said, the basics that they need, the proteins are there, the omegas are there, the DHA, the other ingredients taken out that have been in for so many years that we don't need any longer. And pretty amazingly is the fact that like how the animals are actually taken care of in order to prevent a lot of the side effects and long-term effects that even adults have from what we're consuming. Hopefully we're giving it, better to our babies at this point, and then learning ourselves to treat ourselves better as well. You'll have to come out with an adult version.
Mom and new parents are also a really important part of the process. And still, even today, as I still do have an 8-year-old, so I still consider myself a mum of a little bub. But even after 17 years, still the most joy I get out of my role is when the customer service line rings and I pick it up and just speak to a mum about her experience, and everyone goes through their own journey. It's nutrition and particularly nutrition in that first 1,000 days. It's not an easy thing. It's there's a lot of thought into it, and some babies just cruise on through and will take anything, and other babies are just have a lot of sensitivities, and
I have one coming in 2 months, and so I'm like, please be as easy as my last one was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm excited to try Bubs this time around as well. So thank you so much for informing me too, because I was just going with my own nutritional information, but it's so different when it is applied to a child. Do you guys have any additional tips for the moms and the dads out there?
I would say just, enjoy every moment. And I know that, we talked a little at the beginning about how sometimes stressful it can be, choosing all of the right things that you need for your baby, because everybody wants to make the best choices for their little one. But it's going to be okay. Parents have been raising kids for a very long time. Trust your instincts. Partner with your pediatrician. That's what we're there for. So reach out, if you have any questions, and give yourself a break. Every day doesn't have to be perfect, right?
Amen to that. Yeah. You're a unicorn if it is.
Well, absolutely. So yeah. No, I was just going to say good nutrition is meant to be fun and easy. So, look for your clean label purity award. Once you bring good nutrition into your life for yourself and your baby, you feel better. You have a, healthy toddler, happy toddler, any happy tummy, happy toddler. So, it is an happy enjoyable experience for the whole family.
When they're that tiny, even a toddler, I mean, when they have an upset tummy, it's just the worst, whether they're up all night long, you can't get them to stop crying, you don't understand what's going on, but you think you don't know how to heal it. it is the worst feeling, or it really prevents sleep for you. So,
yeah,
it's good for all, for sure. Well, let's do one speed round question with each of you. My question for both of you is, what is one thing you are currently working to improve in your life or a personal goal? And we can start with Dr. Tanya. I was calling you Dr. Altmann, but I like Kristy calls you Dr. Tanya.
That's okay. So, I don't know if I can do 2 quick answers, but I would have initially said exercise, because I really need more exercise and I need to work it more into my life. But after talking to you before the show started, I'm going to say saying no, right? I'm getting better about saying no. I got a call to do a big news show tomorrow morning, but I'm in charge of getting my kids to school. And there's only so much we can handle as a working mom, right? And I always want to be there for everyone, my patients, my friends, my family, our entire country. And sometimes I just have to say no. So that's what I'm working on.
And I want to say thank you too. We were talking about this before the show, and I'm like, wait, she's on KISS podcast, but she turned down the huge news show tomorrow morning. So thank you. And Kristy, what's one thing that you're working to improve upon in your life?
I'm actually working on trying to stop underestimating myself. And this is my mentor in business actually drills this into my head a lot, our chair of the Bubs. So, I think that's just something, as the business has grown and as, the life balance and juggling sort of 3 children with business, I think, there's a lot of challenge, and there's a lot of, you're always having to grow as a person. And I think I've always sort of entered it with, I'm not good enough, or I'm not capable, or I'm not going to be able to pull that off, and then somehow I do pull it off, and it does happen, and you are able to sort of navigate through all the headwinds. So
might as well start at the top, right?
Yeah, that's right. I haven't succeeded yet, but I'm working on it.
That's all that matters. It's a journey in life. And so, well, thank you so much, Dr. Altmann and Kristy, for shedding your wisdom on such an important topic, such as our children's nutrition through the first years. It's absolutely priceless to all the moms and the dads out there tuning in. Where can we find Aussie Bubs in the States and globally?
Yeah, so we've only sort of just entered the States in the last sort of 6 months. So the easiest place, depending on where you live, could be to go online. So we're available on Walmart.com and Amazon.com. Obviously, we have our own website where AussieBubs.com, where you can purchase the product and have it home delivered, or you can also just find out more about us.
Oh, wonderful. And Dr. Altmann, where can we find you as well?
So I'm at Dr. Tanya Altmann on social media, and my website is drtanya.com, and my office is in Calabasas, which is Southern California.
She is amazing, guys. As I mentioned at the very beginning, it's just the information is so easy applied. So if anybody, you got children out there, you got to follow Dr. Tanya, and obviously try Aussie Bubs. Thank you, ladies. And thank you all for tuning in. I'd love to hear your feedback on today's episode or any comments on topics you'd like to hear in the future. If you're feeling your wellness routine simplified from tuning in, please write a review. I appreciate it. Have questions you need answered? Text me at 1-310-361-8697. Make sure you're following me on social at Kristy Bullock, and have a healthy, happy week.